Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What If Naruto Was a Perverted Seal Master, Part 7, The End. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
Commander Dragon asked his subordinate, "Are those 600s?" He believed her because she said yes. She was a NBU's good daughter. As he walked around the operating room making sure he had everything he needed, he thought about his son who had gone off the rails. Since he had left Dragon's family, it was clear that his hound dog had forgotten how to behave. But, like a good father, he did not leave his children even when they left. Even if it hurt, he would help his son and teach him that he needs to take better care of his own son. But that could wait. He had something more important to do right now. He looked at the fool who didn't have much time left on Earth. He chose to take the old man's grandson out of all the people he could have taken. This was at a time when the old man was already walking around like a dragon. It's just so stupid. Also, ANBU had to make sure that none of the medical staff knew who paralyzed the fool, because if they did, they wouldn't have helped him. In the world of ninjas, you should never cross a chef, lover, or medic, because there was no faster way to leave this world. And the medical staff loved that the son of the Yondaime was a healer and their chibai. He couldn't say for sure that a mysterious blood clot didn't get into the traitor's brain if they knew how and why he was stabbed twice in the spine and had his windpipe crushed, which was pretty cool to do while coming out of a shunshin. He would still have a new son. He'd just have to convince the old man, or buy him a special tobacco blend. The stupid traitor was woken up by 3 slaps. The man blinked his eyes in confusion as his eyes got used to the mostly dark room. The only light was on the traitor. He tried to move, but when he saw the mask, he stopped. Behind it, Dragon smiled as the fool's face gave it all away. Oh, that fear. That's what the fool really felt, but his pride made him sneer instead. He went to say something, probably something snarky about how he wasn't afraid or wouldn't be broken. As if you were put in charge of the ANBU without being able to break all Chunin. Before the man could say anything, he was hit again. One thing, Onion, I'm a busy man. If I don't ask you a question, don't talk. Does that make sense? The man frowned but nodded. Because of what he said, he got another slap. He probably couldn't take much more on his jaw. He asked, why, and got another slap in return. When I ask an onion a question, I expect it to answer verbally, right? Yes, he answered quickly. Now, since I'm feeling kind, I'll let you ask one question. Go ahead and ask it. Why do you call me an onion? The question didn't surprise Dragon, but it did make him laugh. At least the man didn't lie to himself or try to pretend he was innocent. That went well. Oh, it's simple really. You non-ANBU are loud, unable to work alone, and usually not worth a damn until a generous amount of heat is applied to you. Alright, I think I should inform you what is about to happen. See, I'm only really interested in one question, but I have to assume you're going to lie to me. True, I could torture you until I believe you've divulged the truth, but I have a lot of my plate and can't spend all day dicing an onion. So, I've come to a compromise. Dragon took a fluffy white towel from a nearby medical stand and put a bucket of water next to Mizuki's bed. This is a 600 thread count towel. I'm going to wet one end and force it down your throat. A lower thread count would make the initial swallowing easier, but the results have been inconsistent, so you get the 600. Well, Onion, when your stomach acid starts to digest the towel, I'm going to pull it back up, bringing your stomach lining with it. The Chunin's face showed both shock and deep fear, as if one was a cover for the other. Dragon didn't mind that the man lied to himself. Soon enough, it would hurt too much to keep denying the truth. On average, people who go through this stay alive for 29 hours and 47 minutes. That's nearly 30 hours of excruciating pain. I think after a full day of this, you'll tell the truth just so I can put an end to your suffering. The man yelled, I'll talk. He got slapped because he broke the rules. Of course you'll talk, Onion. You'll tell me whatever I want to hear, but I only want the truth, not what you think I think the truth is. For that to happen, you need to go through this trial. Go through it, and then I'll believe you. No, I'll talk, and I'll be honest. He begged. This guy didn't want to have his stomach lining taken out at all. He almost felt bad about giving him another slap. Okay, Onion, I'll give you one chance to avoid the most painful 24 hours of your life. Was Orochimaru the one who told you to kidnap Konohamaru Sarutobi as a kind of dead man cell plan? No, I just knew he'd been captured and thought he'd say I'd been working for him. I hated the Sandaime and the Kyuubi brat, so I thought kidnapping Konohamaru would be revenge. What did you plan to do with the honorable grandson before you killed him? Run away with him? Send pieces of him back to the Sandaime? Yes, said Mizuki, almost begging to be taken seriously. It did work. The man was given a pat on the shoulder by Dragon. Good news, Onion, I believe you. I won't pull your stomach lining out through your mouth. But there's bad news, too, said the other agent standing next to Dragon. This is Captain Monkey. That shouldn't mean anything to you, but if you could take off your mask, Captain, we're all friends here. When Mizuki saw the captain's face, he really started to wriggle. Yes, you tried to take Kana Sarutobai's son, and well, Onion, you went after my family. What's the punishment for that, Captain? Onion gets diced, she said without any emotion. And there's no one better for the job. Well, my part in this is over. Take as much time as you need, Captain. The room is yours. Thank you, Commander, she said as she took 2 karambits off the mounts on her back. As Dragon left, he could see in the window the glow of the Katan chakra-infused blades. That took care of one thing, and now it's time to move on to the next. Then, the leader of the Special Operations Ninjas could eat lunch and spend the rest of the day trying to calm down the old man with the help of Danzo, Sage, and the other ninjas. The kind people who work at the hospital gave him a temporary office so that he could take care of everything before going back to the ANBU barracks. Hound stood at attention when he walked into the small room. At least he remembered that much, which was good. Dragon still put the slightly taller man in a headlock and punched him a few times in the head. Hound, said Dragon, but his son was brave enough to stop him. Kakashi, he said, stupid kid. He hit himself in the head a few more times to get it to work right. Hound, the old agent knew it was a question because the voice went up. Yes, Commander. A couple of love taps always did the trick. When I gave Uzumaki Naruto to you for the day, did you not know what I wanted from you? No, Commander. And do you think that your summonses are a good substitute for direct supervision? In some response, as he was falling backward, he got a few more love taps. No, sir. But Sasuke needs a light touch, especially since Naruto reminds him of Itachi. I can't let him think I favor Naruto or make them compete with each other. He's getting better, but he still has some clear triggers, sir. You're right, Hound, but that's why there are clones. Hound asked, who wants to use the chakra for that? And got several more love taps. Since you left my den, Hound, you've lost your way. Don't worry, Papa is always there for his kids. I know you've been trying to find your way back, but I'm going to speed up the process. Every day you are in the village, you will report to me before you train your students or go on missions, right? Hound said, yes, sir, and he meant it. Oh, there was his good dog. Great, you can go, Dragon told the Jounin as he let him go. As Kakashi was about to leave, Dragon stopped him and gave him one last warning. If you're late or don't show up, I'll beat you with body blows and then tie you up without a mask by the women's onsen. The normally calm man shivered. He thought, good, the pretty jerk would probably want to keep his peace and keep his real face hidden. Iwashi said, when you become Chunin, you have to let us know. We promised Minato-sama we'd take you out on the town so Kushina-sama wouldn't be mad at us. Naruto was sitting with the other 3 when Hadake-sensei came with them. They were part of his father's guardian platoon, which he told them about. It looks like it's up to the Hokage to decide if they want ANBU or regular forces. His dad liked ANBU, but his Oji-sen seemed to like ANBU more. He had to tell Commander Dragon what had happened, but he had already come back to the waiting area with the 3 of them. They seemed nice, and they told stories about his parents that neither Hadake-sensei nor Jiraiya knew. They said he thought of them as his fun uncles. He wondered if there were more people in the area who were chosen to be his boring uncles, but he decided to worry about it if it came up. Naruto said, I've been given a raise. All 3 of them stared at him in amazement. From what he knew, that could mean surprise or even doubt. He wasn't in his vest, that's true. His Oji-san told him not to wear it until after his exams and when he was done with his job as a bodyguard. I promise you that it's true. We believe you, Naruto, but being promoted in the middle of exams has never happened before, so we have to celebrate. It's in the middle of the day, Kakashi told the triad as he came back. Besides, there's a Team 7 tradition I have to follow with my newly promoted Chunin. I'm sure you understand, the copy ninja said as he led Naruto away. Fine, tonight, Kakashi. We promised Minato-sama, Rado shouted. Kakashi waved his hand to show he didn't want to go, but he knew he'd have to let them go. Just because Minato-sensei was too nice to those nerds, he didn't want his chibai to be influenced by them. The 2 people left the safe entrance to the hospital and went back to a main street. Hadake-sensei, Naruto called. HM. Kakashi answered. He asked, can I see Kono-chan before we do the Team 7 ritual? Kakashi ruffled his hair a little and smiled. Sure, we can get there quickly, he said. Then he did a shunshin and waited for Chibai to keep up, which he did. When they got to their destination, a small projectile in the shape of a boy was fired at Naruto. He was not hurt by it at all. Even Kakashi, who has good hearing, couldn't figure out what the boy was saying when he mumbled. What are you saying, Kono-chan? I don't understand you, Naruto said. The Sarutobi took a deep breath in and pulled away from his fake brother. Kakashi could tell that he was trying hard to look at Naruto. Nae-chan, are you the Kyuubi? This wasn't the question anyone was expecting. Kakashi quickly came to the conclusion that the traitor had told Konohamaru out of spite or to make the boy feel bad. Or maybe both. He wondered how Naruto would react when Konohamaru and Haku found out his biggest and worst kept secret. Even the usually calm Kunoichi couldn't hide her surprise. This could be a big turning point, and Kakashi wondered if Naruto would flat out say no because he was afraid of being rejected. It looks like I don't have the right tails, Kono-chan, he said. Konohamaru yelled, Nai-ch-han. This let Kakashi know that Chibai wasn't being too literal but was just teasing his little brother. Kakashi didn't know he could make someone laugh. Kakashi said, why don't we talk about this inside? An apartment balcony isn't the place to talk about S-class secrets. Everyone sat down. The three youngest kids sat on the couch, and Konohamaru put the bunny on his lap. Kakashi thought the rabbit was way too smart to be a pet and wondered if there was such a thing as a guard bunny. He then wondered if he could get Pakkun to train the rabbit up a bit. It was cool to see a guard rabbit. Okay, I'm assuming Mizuki Toji told you something he shouldn't have. Whether Naruto answers any questions, this is an S-class secret. I know you know what that means, Haku-chan, but for you Konohamaru that means if you talk about this with anyone without Hokage-sama's or Naruto's permission you could be put to death. Now, are you sure you want to continue? He asked, but he knew the answer. The boy's head nod was perfunctory. Naruto lifted his shirt and used chakra to show Minato-sensei's last piece of art. I am not the Kyuubi, but when I was a baby, the Yondaime sealed him inside of me. Why do you call your dad Yondaime instead of your dad? Until recently, it was supposed to be a secret, and I'm still not used to the fact that it's no longer a secret. Is there anything else? Have you met it? Konohamaru asked. Yes, Naruto said quickly, but Kakashi was surprised by that. Was he meant to talk to it? Did that worry you? He knew that Chibai was a genius at sealing, but you didn't just talk to Biju, did you? Konohamaru kept asking, what was he like? As if Naruto had just met a fellow traveler on the way to life. He had 3 whisker marks like me, Naruto said as he moved 3 fingers across his cheek. He used his index finger to show big, sharp teeth that stuck out like this, and a pair of soft ears. Konohamaru asked, did you get to pet them? Kakashi was starting to worry about the Sandaime's grandson's sanity. No, Naruto answered, since it was clear to Kakashi that the answer was no. I asked, but he said maybe some other time. At this point, Kakashi realized he had to worry more about how much Kushina his student had in him. Okay, I think that's enough questions for now. Naruto and I really need to go. Haku-chan, I'm sure Konohamaru-kun's grandfather would appreciate it if you could walk him to the Sarutobi compound. Of course, she said, but he could tell she was thinking about what he had just told her. Naruto said, Haku-chan, to get her attention. Thank you for taking care of Kono-chan. She smiled in a way that would break many people's hearts, but Kakashi knew that smile was only for one person. Of course I would, you're my friend. Naruto nodded but didn't say anything else. He ruffled Konohamaru's hair and left. When they got back to the 3rd training ground, Kakashi told them that Naruto had talked to the Kyuubi, but that wasn't a big deal. He took out just 1 bell. Every time one of us got a promotion, Minato-sensei would make us do the bell test again. Since Sasuke can't train today and Sakura is busy elsewhere, it'll just be the 2 of us. Don't hold back and come at me with the intention to kill. You have 2 hours to get the bell and keep it. Any questions? He asked. He moved out of the way of the kunai that was Naruto's answer. He lost track of his student for a moment because of something else. He didn't care that Chibai left before he told her to. He smiled because he thought this was going to be fun. Sakura-chan, the genin heard a soft voice say. She got embarrassed because she was caught not paying attention. The Pinkette didn't know why she was so nervous to be in this office. She liked how clean and classic the woman's home was compared to the rest of the village, which was more modern. She couldn't believe it when a Hokage advisor asked to meet with her. Sorry, Koharu-sama, Sakura apologized. Don't worry about it, dear, Koharu-sama told her. The old woman's eyes were still sharp, and as Sakura sat across from her, she felt like every part of her was being measured. Koharu-sama started talking again, so she must have found what she was looking for. You must be a very special kunoichi to be on a team with the last Uchiha, and the only child of the Yondaime, she said. Sakura said, not knowing what else to say, but she didn't feel special. Koharu-sama laughed. It was small and under control, but it still felt real. You don't believe me. I get it. It wasn't easy to compare myself to Hiruzen, but it taught me early on that there were many ways to be effective and wield power. If you're willing to do something for me, I'd be happy to show you how to be effective with soft power, Koharu-sama said. Sakura was so happy that she almost jumped at the offer, but she thought it over first. She instead asked, "What would you have me do?" At first, Koharu-sama didn't say anything. Instead, she gave her a file folder. Sakura looked at what was inside, but she was confused because it was all pictures of Naruto with different people. All women, she told herself. It was where Hinata, Haku, Ino, and Tenten were. The judge from the second part of the Chunin exams, teammate Sensei Senju Tsunade-sama, and even the Kunoichi from Suna and a dark-skinned woman from Kumo. Since the time of the Shodai, the elite shinobi of Konoha have believed that a gentleman would come along who would give their lecherous desires an air of respectability. One who could seduce and ensnare Kunoichi as easily as a genin uses the replacement jutsu. This gentleman has never come, and a group of people have worked hard to make sure he never does. Sakura stuttered, "You want me to date in Naruto?" This made everyone laugh again. "No, dear girl. We didn't set them up, we just made sure they ran into each other, but I know you like Sasuke." "No, dear, this is where soft power comes into play. Because of how Naruto was raised and his development problems, we thought he wouldn't be a problem in the end. We were wrong, and because he didn't get a lot of direct guidance, he is more open to non-traditional lifestyles." But it wouldn't. Sakura mulled over Koharu-sama's request. She didn't know if she could do it because she didn't know Naruto very well, even though her opinion of him had gone up a lot after the Forests of Death. Wouldn't he think she was a bother? And, what might be even more important, wouldn't Hinata kill her if she tried to stop her? This made Sakura think of another thing and ask, "What about the Kunoichi you put in his path? Wasn't it Hinata?" Koharu-sama shook her head and looked for a moment like she was sad. Hinata-chan was too shy to play such a big role, and even though she's gotten a lot more confident over the years, she says it's all thanks to Naruto-kun. She and that Yuki girl are already under his control. If your friend Ino doesn't watch out, she'll be next. I had planned for an older girl to do that job. She was his guard for a short time, but she's no longer an option, which makes me very sad. Will you help me, Sakura-chan? Yes, I'll do it. After a few hours, Temari was found sleeping peacefully in her bed. She worked out hard all day and took a shower after dinner. As soon as her head hit the pillow, she fell asleep. But she woke up without having any dreams, and Temari wondered if she had become too comfortable in this village full of enemies. When a kunai touched her stomach and one of the judges didn't have any pupils, she knew she had become too comfortable. Finally, "Cookie," said the woman. "I was wondering if I'd have to stab you to wake you up," she said as a final thought. Temari stiffened up, which was a rookie mistake, but she couldn't figure out how this woman had gotten past Baki-sensei, Kenkuro, and Gaara. Gaara never slept and was always ready for killers. Temari asked how, but the point of the kunai was pressed into her skin with just enough force to stop her from speaking. "Cookie, I go in and out of places I shouldn't every day, but I don't want to talk about how I do it. We have more important things to talk about. See, all Anko doesn't care about much and even less about most people. But my Gaki is a different story. So, when I see a foreign Kunoichi ready to attack Konoha, I wonder why she's spending time with my Gaki. Could it be genuine? Maybe. I shouldn't have to tell you that those thoughts made me want to hurt you very badly. I'm having a hard time coming up with a reason why I shouldn't just kill you to keep myself safe." Temari figured out who this woman's Gaki was and kicked herself for not realizing that Naruto would have murderous psychopaths working to protect him. There were a lot of them in Konoha. She had to say something to make her feel better. Temari was always smart, so she went with the first idea she had. "If you kill me, Suna and Konoha will be at war. I thought about it, and I know war is bad and all that, but I think my Gaki is worth it. What else do you have, Cookie? We're just friends." Temari spat. What else could she say if she didn't care that she might start a war? "Is that all you want? To be his friend?" Temari stopped and looked away, which was a mistake because she could feel the kunai cutting her skin. It was a sting she had felt before and didn't like. "I don't know," she replied. "How can we have a good relationship if you're not telling the truth, Cookie? What do you want from Uzumaki Naruto?" Temari blurted out, "I like him, okay. He's sweet, nice, and pays attention to me." A new voice said, "I think that's about as good as it's going to get, Anko-chan." Temari didn't know this person was also in her room, but she heard their voice. "Awa, Nai-chan, that doesn't really say what we should do with her. I vote for an unmarked grave." "You always vote for unmarked grave," the woman from Nai-chan said. "It's always the right answer," the psycho in front of her said with a pout. "Cookie, how do you feel about graves that aren't very deep?" I'd rather not end up in one, Temari said. The two women laughed at it. Well, no one who ended up in a shallow grave wanted to be there. In the future, if you have one, you should try to be more helpful. Now, Nai-chan, does that mean you don't like my idea? Yes, I am. It's 1-to-1, said Anko. We need a tiebreaker. What do you think, Tsunade-sama? Temari went pale and turned as white as a sheet when Tsunade-sama said this. Even though she didn't know these other women, she knew who the Sannin were. The strongest kunoichi in the world. She is the queen of potions and elixirs. She was filled with more fear than she had ever felt before. Gaara at his most crazy never scared her as much as Tsunade did. I think we should wait and see what happens, but if she ever hurts one of my students, I'll hit her so hard that all of her organs will liquefy. Anko said, now that sounds like something I'd like to see. It looks like you're off the hook for now, Cookie. Try to get some rest. The three of them left without making a sound, but Temari was too upset about what had just happened to notice. So many questions, but the most puzzling was why she was just a little bit interested. Naruto went to his last stop of the night while he was drunk. He liked the guards who worked for his dad. They were happy, which was nice, and Genma was really good at Senbon. Much better than the Uzumaki, which explained why he was the way he was. Every time Naruto lost at Senbon darts, he had to drink a special mixture that was based on his mother's ability to handle more pain. No one knew what was in the habanero death shot except the bartender, but it was strong enough to get a Jinchuriki drunk. At some point, Anko-chan, Tsunade, and Yuhai-sensei all showed up. The two younger kunoichi told him how happy they were for him, and Yuhai-sensei even kissed him on the cheek. He couldn't wait to get her away from Asuma-san. Even Hadake-sensei seemed to be having a good time. But Naruto couldn't get rid of the feeling that something was missing. Not just tonight, but also for a while. He left the bar to get some fresh air, but quickly found himself in a place he'd been many times before. I want to see Hinata-chan, Databeo, he said with more energy than usual. Even though the guards laughed, he didn't care. One person went into the clan compound, but when that person came back, he saw someone who wasn't Hinata. He wanted to hurt someone for the second time today. Hyuga Hayashi-san grabbed his shoulders and stopped him from rolling up his sleeves. That won't be necessary, Uzumaki-san, Hinata's dad told him. Even though the Uzumaki wasn't sure, they gave in anyway. It's pretty late. Why do you need to talk to my daughter at this time? I wanna see her, Databeo, he said with a hint of confusion. Hadn't he said why he was there? I understand, the bigger man said with a laugh. I'm asking you why you want to see her. Naruto looked at the man who wouldn't say anything sensible. Because I do. He wondered if everyone else was a little less smart because he drank. He heard Hyuga Hayashi-san sigh. Uzumaki-san, as Hinata's father, may I ask you for a favor? Naruto gave a single nod. I don't want you to see my daughter until after the Chunin exam finals. She's come a long way over the years thanks to her hard work and your support. But I don't want you to be a crutch or for her to think she couldn't succeed without you. I'm asking you to put up with this separation so I'll know my daughter is ready to become a Chunin. Naruto nodded again. At least a little bit, the man was finally making sense. He should have just agreed, but for some reason we can't figure out, he didn't. He didn't understand why he couldn't stand not seeing his best friend for 2 more weeks. But she did it a lot. I'll do it, but I don't want to, Titebeo, he finally said. Good man, Hayashi told the new Chunin as he patted him on the shoulders. Hadake-sensei said from behind him, I guess that means we should leave, right, Naruto-kun? He didn't understand how everyone else could be so sure about this, but he did what his sensei told him to do. He also promised to never let his best friend get too far away from him again. Ninjas and people who weren't ninjas were all excited to see what was going to happen that day. As people trickled in and found their seats, not all of them were there to watch the village young people perform. Rasa, the Yondaime Keisuke, is one of these people. His month, to be honest, had been terrible. Baki's frantic note told him that their plans had been found out, and a genin. Rasa often had to take a breath when he thought about how a genin in the exams had captured Orochimaru, a man the cage didn't think he could beat in a solo fight. The same boy broke each of his children out of captivity. Uzumaki Naruto, son of the Hokage of Yondaime. Since none of his intelligence agents knew anything about the genin before I posted that joke of a bingo book entry, it seems like he was a genius who worked undercover. The best chance he had to save his village was ruined by a child. He thought about sending out his sand agents to kill the boy as a last resort. He thought that they had a 3/10 chance of getting to the village, 2 out of 10 chances that they would be able to kill the boy if they tried. He also knew that if Hiruzen didn't lead the march himself, the monkey god would point his 2 students, Kakashi, and every level killer in that village of crazy people towards Suna. It would be a long siege, and the winner would depend on who wanted to kill the other person the most. Rasa didn't stop because of that, though. because he would probably make it through. But his kids wouldn't, even if he didn't have a bad reputation. He didn't have to be very creative to think that neither of his children would go quickly nor easily. It was a coin flip to see if Temari or Gaara would have it the worst. But Kankuro would have to go through a lot of pain to learn the secrets of their puppetry. First and foremost, he was a cage, and that was his job, but there were limits. He would take on all of Konoha by himself before letting his children die because of a mistake he made. And if they did die, he would go first and do everything he could to free them. So, he did what Hiruzen said. He brought along only the honored siblings. At the border, they were met by Tsunade, Jiraiya, and a squad of a NBU. No harsh words were said, and everyone acted in a professional way, but the presence of the two seinen was the loudest and most clear death threat Rasa had ever heard. The trip went smoothly, but when he got there, he couldn't see his children or talk to Baki. He wouldn't know how good they were until they fought, and those fights could be set up to kill them right in front of him. The cushioned seat he was sitting on, which was right next to where he would soon be Hokage, was not comfortable. He felt like a caged animal, and his nerves were on edge after a month. His discipline was getting worse, and where it stopped, his instinct took over. Right now, his role was not that of a leader or a shinobi, but that of a father who only wanted his kids to be safe, no matter what it would cost him in the end. Hiruzen waited in a safe place inside the stadium for the last security checks to be done by his ANBU. The Hokage decided to only have 2 ANBU guards because he wanted Tsunade and Jiraiya to be free to move around the village in case Rasa had something planned. Danzo was with him, and the man seemed to want to say something. "You do know you can't kill him, right?" Hiruzen wondered for a moment why he was surrounded by babysitters and guards instead of the ninja he was in charge of. He understood what Danzo meant when he said it wasn't the right time to kill Rasa. The long and short plays both said that the man should stay alive. He knew that, but the truth was that he could kill Rasa, the honorable siblings, and anyone else in his village if he wanted to. It was his village, and no one could challenge him except for his 2 students. Guy could try, but he would kill that poor boy before he got to the gates. He needed to be a threat. He could, therefore, kill Rasa. "You're being petulant, Hiruzen." "I haven't said anything," replied the wise Hokage. "You were thinking out loud, but if it makes you feel better, yes, you are perfectly capable of killing Rasa. I'd look cool doing it, too," Hiruzen said. The best victory was seeing Danzo's shoulders drop. "You're my penance," Danzo said. Hiruzen scoffed. "You should count yourself lucky if I give you even half the headaches in our golden years that you gave me in our prime. If I wasn't too tired to hate you, I would hate you with all of my being," his former rival said. "Come see the people who will protect our village in the future. It will be exciting," said Hiruzen. People were making their way to their seats, and the tension in the room was clear because everyone was excited to see what would happen to the village. As the last contestants were being paraded around, the Hokage had spoken, which was a sort of unofficial start to the ceremonies. The only thing left to do was fight. He wasn't very good at ceremonies because he was too excited and too serious. Rock Lee wasn't good at ninjutsu or genjutsu, but he could fight. Standing across from his opponent, he could see no signs of tension in her body. She took a loose stance, and he jumped on his toes before settling in. The sickly proctor gave the signal to start, and Lee blitzed the Hyuga heiress because his sensei told him not to wear leg weights. He was able to avoid his move, and he felt her body briefly as she rolled off his back. The active boy was saved from a swift kick to the head because his body moved before his mind could tell it to. The move gave him enough time to defend himself against her onslaught of attacks. Lee started trading blows with Neji when he thought he had seen enough of the gentle fist. He didn't expect a kick to the side that was so hard it almost bent his knee. The blow knocked him out of his stance, which allowed Lee to hit him with 3 quick palm thrusts that sent him back about 20 feet. To give him more room, he rolled a little farther away. These punches hurt. She didn't fight like Neji, and his speed didn't make her weak like he thought it would. It was clear that he had bigger worries than her grappling skills. Lee quickly made a new plan after giving up on his first ideas about Hinata's skills. Hayashi watched as his oldest son fought the clone of Might Guy. Even though his nephew hated him deeply, he still kept an eye on him and his team, so he knew that Rock Lee was a strong genin. So, the fact that Hinata was getting the upper hand in their arguments made him like her even more. He had to give credit where credit was due. Her opponent was smartly avoiding going to the ground with her by using clever escapes and his greater strength. But even when he managed to get away from them, he was hit with pokes and palm thrusts as he got away, and it was starting to hurt. The crowd cheered loudly for the Taijutsu match, which made him feel like a proud father because they were cheering for his daughter. She had it coming. When she first told him she wouldn't do things the way the clan had always done them, he was okay with that. not because he thought she was real, to his shame. But as she found her own style and became more sure of herself, he realized that her problem wasn't a lack of talent. Fish can't climb trees and roses don't grow in frozen wastelands. It wasn't because of him that she failed, but because of what he taught her. Now, he watched with pride he didn't deserve as she beat her rival and kept her alive. Would this be enough to help her get a raise? Possibly. The decision was based on both the candidate's skills and the needs of the village. Hinata was probably ready for this time of peace when she would still be with her Jounin sensei. He wouldn't mind if she stayed genin for another year or so if she wasn't ready. A woman's voice said, "Ugh," and stopped Hayashi right in the middle of his thoughts. His eyes, which were always on, told him everything he needed to know. Guy's student went for a sweep, and as Hinata jumped over him, the boy opened the first gate. She couldn't do anything about the sudden speed boost or the kick that came after it, one that was so strong that it broke 3 of her ribs. She tried to fight back, but he hit her with 2 quick blows to the body, and Hayashi could see that she was hurting. He didn't care about her winning anymore, all he wanted was for his little girl to be safe. Neji didn't seem to notice when his cousin looked upset. It wouldn't be right for a Hyuga to do that, and having Tenten next to him, who has made friends with the spoiled princess, would only make her madder. That didn't mean he couldn't enjoy it without saying anything. It was a punishment from God. Both of these weaker people doing better than him in the tournament made him feel sick, and the acidic taste on his tongue lingered. He didn't care who won because neither fighter was good enough to be Chunin or to deserve the praise and attention of the crowd. Tenten asked him, "Do you think she can still fight?" He was able. He was strong-willed, determined, and just plain smart enough to get through such an injury, assuming he was careless enough to get it. "I doubt it," Neji said in response. He didn't see how she could defend herself against Lee when her core was in danger, but she took the most basic gentle fist stance. It was weak and full of holes, which was a clear sign that she had nothing left. Neji thought that Lee must have agreed because he rushed her again. Neji thought Lee would keep attacking and Hinata would dodge or deflect in a desperate attempt to make this joke last longer. He was mistaken. He was wrong, but he also saw something new. It was like a half-done chitin, but it wasn't. No, it was focused and made with one hand, and she moved Lee off of his center line, which threw off his body's balance. He couldn't avoid the palm thrust to his chin from above, which hit him in the middle. Lee threw a front kick, but Neji couldn't tell if it was to hurt or make space. Hinata moved his momentum up with the ease of a pro. Lee was knocked off his feet and turned over. He turned a full 360 degrees, which showed that he was out of control. Hinata stopped his momentum by grabbing his face and slamming him in the opposite direction of his spin after he had turned back upright but was still in the air. Lee hit the ground with a thud, and before Hinata could attack again, the Guardian was already there. Lee was already out, so it wasn't necessary. Hinata had won. Hinata asked Naruto-kun when she got to the medical bay. The shock made her forget for a moment about the sharp pain in her ribs, but the pain came back and made her groan. One of the medical ninja put her on an exam table right away, but it looked like her Naruto-kun would be taking care of her. He told her, "Hi, Hinata-chan. Take this," and she did. The heiress of the Hyuga family wanted to smile at how professional he was. She took the pills and drank from the thin cup, first one at a time. Vanilla was in the drink that was the color of cream. Soon, she felt a wave of healing chakra come into her body. On the monitors, she could see the next fight, but she was more interested in the Uzumaki she hadn't seen in weeks. She blamed Kakashi for most of what had happened, and her father because of his crazy plan. "What did I take, Naruto-kun?" "Pain pills and a lot of calcium, which is more than you would normally want in your body, but helps heal your ribs. So, can I fight again? The more time I have, the better I can fix the damage, but if you get medically cleared, you have a higher chance of getting hurt again." It wasn't great news, but she wasn't going to complain. She stayed out of Naruto's way and watched the Suna Kunoichi fight the Kumo ninja in silence. The ninja couldn't get closer to the Kunoichi, so she quickly made him give up. He didn't like how the two styles clashed. Next, Sasuke would fight the Suna ninja. It should have been that way. The Suna nin forfeited from the stands because his face was covered by an orange book. This meant that her next match was over. She asked, "Am I good to go?" Naruto nodded. "Just barely," was his reply. It wasn't ideal, but she wasn't sure if her first match was good enough to get her promoted, so turning down this next round could hurt her candidacy. After making her choice, she only had one more thing to do before she could go back to the arena floor. She slid off the table and gave her best friend a big hug. I missed you, she said in a low voice. She had a lot to say, but none of it was very important. All she wanted was to talk to her friend like she used to. We saw each other yesterday, Naruto replied as he gave the hug back. She chuckled. It was true that they had seen each other, but they had also been in two different places. It was different. Let's meet up later, okay? Okay, he said again. She ran back quickly because she didn't want to be disqualified. Temari stood alone, surrounded by people she used to be supposed to attack, and thought about what was going on. She was sure to get a raise. The invasion was the only reason she wasn't a Chunin right now. If her promotion to a higher rank wasn't important, why fight again? Well, since Gaara had gone crazy and Kankuro had been thrown out, it was up to her to do well for her village. It was such a good reason, she almost thought it wasn't a cover for her real reason. If you hit Hinata-chan, that would just be a bonus. She seems to have been the key. Naruto talked a lot about his best friend, but he never told her anything that could put her in danger. Temari didn't know if that was on purpose or not, but it was very annoying. She wouldn't do this just to make the Hyuga look bad or to prove that she was the best choice. She can be very helpful to her village and make the younger girl feel bad, who was more developed than Temari, given that she chose to wear a black top with short sleeves and a Kusari Gyusoku on the bottom. It was really easy to dislike this town. Plenty of resources, a nice climate, a good economy, and a lot of perfect, angelic-looking women with no will or sense. Not that getting a boy was the point. She was a loyal Suna Kanoichi. She was proud and strong. But because of her father's bad choices, it's likely that Konoha would want to be paid back. A gift, or maybe more than one, and promises from Suna that she wouldn't betray them again. A political marriage between the son of the 4th Hokage and the daughter of the 4th Kazekage might work. It wouldn't be good for her, but she would do what she had to do. Temari evened out her breath and loosened her muscles as she looked at the crowd cheering for the Hyuga princess's return. The plan was simple, keep her far away. Use wind jutsu to overwhelm her, and don't stop until the match is over. Hajime, said the weak man. Temari kicked off the ground, putting some space between herself and the taijutsu expert. Once she was sure she was at the right distance, Temari opened her fan and felt one of her shoulders go numb and start to hurt. Her jacket was getting stained with blood, but she didn't know what had happened. Looking back at the Hyuga, she quickly dove out of the way when she saw that two things were coming at her head. Senbin, she wondered, but she didn't hear the sound of metal hitting the ground, which would have been a sign. Grunting, she hit her shoulder to get some feeling back. One-handed swings were slower and less powerful. She couldn't buy either of them. She heard the girl say, with a thick layer of superiority in her voice, "Get away from a Hyuga, how unique." Temari could feel again, so she went to swing her fan, but this time she was pierced in the thigh. She dropped her fan and hid behind it again. This wasn't the best situation, but Temari saw it before she was hit. There were drops of water under the Hyuga. She was using water as weapons in some way. Thin, quick, and exact. Temari, though, thought they were also weak. With a plan in mind, she came out from behind her fan with her hand seals moving as the Hyuga got closer. Temari took a deep breath and did the great breakthrough just like she had done it 100 times before. As the Suna Kanoichi started her journey back to her fan, she thought she was ready for anything. She didn't think the Hyuga would answer with a fireball that was strong enough to beat her wind jutsu. When Temari saw the fire coming, he let out an even stronger gust of wind that put out the fire. She didn't have time to enjoy her small win because someone poked her back several times. Temari's body moved without her permission, and she felt a hand on her throat, followed by a vice-like squeeze that pulled her to the ground. "This is for Tenten," she heard right before she passed out. As soon as the fight was over, Kakashi was filled with fear. He didn't know why or have any proof, but he just had a feeling that his most emotional student was going to do something stupid. People might be surprised that he thought Sasuke was the most emotional of his students, but that would just show how little they knew about them. When Hinata said no to the last fight, the first domino fell. It made sense, because the injury she got from Lee probably hadn't fully healed, and even though she took a chance against a long-range fighter, it was smart of her not to take a chance against Sasuke. That decision probably got her the promotion, along with whatever she did to Lee to make Guy so shocked that he was speechless. There was more to look into, but the honey badger was getting dangerous. When Hinata left, that was supposed to be the end of the story. Sasuke would be upset, but he still had a chance to get promoted because he did well on the other two exams and the preliminary tests. So, why did Sasuke keep talking to Hayate? Why did Hayate give the Hokage a message? The Hokage nodded because how come Hayate just left? Damn it, Sasuke, Kakashi groaned, and the other Jounin senseis and Anko all looked at him. Guy asked, "What do you think he's done, Kakashi?" "Just wait," Kakashi warned. Back in the medical bay, Naruto was with Lee. The older boy had finished the concussion protocols, so Naruto was there to keep him company. Naruto wondered if Lee was what people meant when they said someone was good-natured because he cheered for Hinata against Temari even though he had lost to her. He liked Lee before, but that made him like him even more. "Lee, are we friends?" "If we aren't, I'd certainly like to be," Lee answered without hesitation. "I'd like that too. Oh my gosh. If I didn't have a rival, Naruto-kun, you'd be a great one." "Thank you, Lee." Lee's blinding smile almost made Naruto forget about the new person, but his cough let him know who it was. The Uzumaki hadn't gotten to spend a lot of time with Gecko-san, a few dinners with him and Yugaoni, and a few kenjutsu lessons, but he thought the man was affable. "Hey, Naruto, you up for a match?" Naruto looked at him confused for a moment before the fullness of the request dawned on him. "Against Sasuke-san?" "Yes." Hokage-sama approved but said it's entirely up to you, though there was an additional caveat from Sasuke should you agree. "What's that?" He said he wants the Uzumaki Naruto that faced Orochimaru. The crowd had quieted down, not even Kakashi had explained what he meant. He palmed his face when he saw Hayat's companion. He was right. Dressed in a black flak vest, instead of his Chunin green one, sticks, tanto, and chained weapon strapped to his back and the fingerless gloves Kakashi gifted him for his promotion. Sasuke submitted the challenge and Naruto accepted. The stadium was going crazy. The last Uchiha versus the son of the Yondaime, the boy that stalemated a Sannin. He could feel the spectators thirsting for an epic match. Kakashi found no joy in it. As much as he missed Naruto when he was assigned to Jiraiya, it had the positive benefit of cooling Sasuke's competitive streak and denied him easy access to an Itachi stand-in. He'd thought the boy had finally reached a place where Sasuke could see Naruto and truly become teammates. Instead, he saw someone his age approximating his life's goal, and so he had to know how he measured up. Maybe Sasuke didn't see Itachi anymore when he looked at Naruto. A worse option could have been selected. Sasuke might see himself, a better version just out of reach. This was what he feared, and he hoped the fight wouldn't undo weeks of progress. Sometimes being a genius just sucked. With no way of stopping it, Kakashi simply had to watch his two students duel. Sasuke awoke with a gasp. The sudden exhalation caused him to cough, the unwelcomed movements calling attention to his beaten and battered body. His head hurt, his eyes hurt, and he wasn't sure where he was or how he'd gotten there. Laying down his most recent memory returned. Blue eyes that were not alive with combat or emotion simply looked ahead at the task at hand. A left cross and right hook to the chin caused his vision to swim. A series of rapid punches, felt but not seen, followed thereafter, fast and strong. Sasuke didn't know which strike knocked him out, but he knew several of them could have. "I hope you're pleased with yourself," a familiar voice asked. "I'd be more pleased if I wasn't the one knocked out and in, I assume. A hospital bed," Sasuke answered. He hoped Kakashi would avoid the lecture or, at the very least, postpone its execution until he felt more himself and less a training dummy. "Tell me, Sasuke, what was achieved with this little stunt?" I needed to know. Know what? What he had and I lacked. Why he could face a Sannin with zero hesitation and survive when I doubt I could do the same. I needed to see how someone my age had eclipsed me entirely and if I could follow that path. "And what did you learn?" "He's stronger than he looks," the Uchiha responded, and while it sounded like a quip, Sasuke was being sincere. "And?" Kakashi asked, sounding more annoyed than Sasuke had ever heard him. "Walk me through your strategy. When did you sense it wasn't working and how did you adjust?" "I didn't have one. Winning wasn't the point." "Oh?" Kakashi asked in mock surprise. "You look to be trying your hardest to do that." "It wasn't the only point," Sasuke amended in annoyance. "I really thought the wire trap would work, though," he added. When he had the Uzumaki trapped in the wires, courtesy of them being attached to Shuriken, he was confident a lightning jutsu would end things. Didn't expect him to cut through the ninja wire with ease. "When users are annoying like that," Kakashi rejoined. His tone suggested there was a story behind the statement, a specific memory being accessed. "Good to know. And with wind being his affinity, I assumed my ninjutsu would give me the advantage. Even when Naruto created the earth wall to intercept his grand fireball, it blowing up into dust left him confident he still had the edge in ninjutsu. When an off-target Shuriken came sailing by, he ignored it and was unprepared for it to revert to a clone of Naruto. The leaping roundhouse he absorbed was the beginning of the end. Beset by clones from every direction, he was picked apart until the original decided to end things. I could be on his level if I were challenged the same as he," Sasuke concluded. "Or you'd be dead. Naruto would be if that was Orochimaru's goal. That didn't stop him. I saw it with my own eyes. He didn't expect to survive. And what a loss that would have been." In Konoha, we protect the future so they in exchange can protect the future still. I guarantee if it were a choice between the Anko, the Kunoichi he saved, and Naruto, she would have sacrificed herself. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone. Your growth is yours and not dependent on anyone else. I have a monster to slay, Kakashi. The sooner the better, and I'm nowhere close. He wasn't going all out, I could tell. Sasuke grunted when something landed on him. He opened his eyes to see a Chunin vest. Hokage-sama believes you're ready to wear that and bear all that comes with it. After today, I'm decidedly unsure. We've all got monsters to slay Sasuke. The trick is remaining human while doing so. Man, Hinata really kicked ass. Though, nothing gave me more pleasure than seeing Sasuke pounded on. Kiba exclaimed to the group. Shino and he were joined with Team Guy and Ten being escorted by Haku to Naruto's apartment. The Inuzuka wanted to celebrate and Naruto had access to a courtyard. No parental supervision and Hinata was likely already there. Win, win, win. Indubitably, Shino started. Hinata's performance justified the multiple times she defeated you while training. You didn't have to say all that, Shino, Kiba said as his posture drooped and shoulders hung. Relax, dog boy. We all know Hinata beats you down. It isn't some big secret, Ino teased. Hey, he exclaimed. Maybe she does, no shame in that. And Shino can tease because we're teammates and that makes them pack, but I won't be roasted by a recovering fangirl. Oh, and what are you gonna do about it? You couldn't even beat Sakura. Because she had those fancy shuriken I'd never seen before and they weren't even hers, so really, I stalemated with Naruto, something Sasuke couldn't manage to do, he reasoned and earned a giggle from the older girl in front. That is some creative argumentation, Kiba-san, Haku said. Thanks. He gently slowed down and gave Ino a signal to do the same. Hey, he whispered, what's her situation? He asked the Yamanaka. Her situation. She repeated in confusion. Yes, her situation, he emphasized. Oh, don't even bother. She's out of your league. Dogs gotta hunt, Ino. Then you're barking up the wrong tree. Oh, does she prefer the company of ladies to gentlemen? Ino laughed. Not to my knowledge, but you're neither, mutt. Look, I'm certain she's into someone else, so spare yourself some pain. Kiba readjusted the paper bag in his hands as he said, well, what does this person have that I don't? Independent wealth, brilliance, taste and style, strength and an impeccable pedigree. Each word felt like a sledgehammer using his skull for an anvil. My mom is the leader of one of Konoha's premier clans. That's not nothing. True, and we're essentially of equal stature as that goes, so that should tell you something. Is it Sasuke? Kiba asked. Why would you think that? Ino asked in genuine surprise. Given everything you said, I mean, who else could it be? Naruto, you knob. You know, son of the 4th Hokage. But he has the personality of a brick, Kiba said and was promptly rounded on. Because this is me you said that to and not Hinata, you'll only get a warning and not a fist to the nose. Naruto has a personality and it is perfectly wonderful. He is kind and open and supportive. He can even be funny in the right context. Don't ever say that about him again or I'll deck you, got it? Sure. Geez, you like him now, too. No, Sasuke is still the boy for me, but Naruto is a really good friend. Now, let's catch up. The dogman user modded, Akamaru barking in agreement, and the two sped up with the gang. Haku led them up the stairs, unlocking the door to Naruto's apartment, unknowingly providing an audience for Hinata's and his first kiss.
So this was the end of the series. I hope you enjoyed it. To watch more series like this, subscribe to my channel. Till then, we weave offline.